today's episode, we're building the Surfer prototype. Welcome back, and picking up where we left off in the previous episode, things are looking good. And we start by disassembling everything. The pickguard has come a long way from paper template to MDF to its final shape. And in this episode it will be completed with a couple more routes. I used the paper template to measure from the neck pocket to the pickup. I then transfer that measurement onto the pickguard, and that's where I know where to line up the template. The pickup I'll be using for the neck is Seymour Duncan SLS1. Here I line up the template and stick it in place. Make sure the center lines are lined up. And before routing, the next step is to remove the material in the middle. And the master cassette tape is almost ready to go. Something to note about this template, it's made exactly for a Seymour Duncan lipstick pickup, and I had made it for a previous build. I couldn't find a template to buy for this pickup, so I made my own. I line up the pickguard and trace the openings so I know where to line up the template for the cavity. The pickup will be mounted to the body and not the pickguard for a much cleaner look. Here I ran into a compatibility issue. Both the template and the pickup are 4-strat, but the pickup does not fit into that space. I'm not sure who got the measurements wrong, either Stu Mac or Seymour Duncan. Please type it in the comments if you ran into something like that before. The workaround for this is pretty easy. I've drawn a couple lines 1/8 from the center line. Instead of lining up the template to the center line, I will line it up to the 1/8 offset, do the route on one side, and then shift the template to the other 1/8 offset. Okay, let's go through it. Here I line up the template on the first position. I do the route for one side, and then I switch the template for the second position. After I have enough depth for the bearing to ride along the walls, I can remove the template and continue the route from there. I check the depth periodically, and here I just have a few more mil to go. And now the cavity is complete with the right depth. The pickup sits at the exact height that I need it, although a height adjustment could be added as well. Next up is the switch, and I made a template for it as well. It consists of 3 sections. The first is for the pickguard route. The second is where the switch will sit in the body. And the third will be the switch recess, since I don't want it to be screwed onto the pickguard. I marked the position using the paper template. I then attached the switch template to the pickguard, drill a few holes, and then route it. After the route, I square off the opening. I trace the opening onto the body and then line up the template to see exactly where to route. I accidentally nicked the template as I was plunging, but it's alright, I can always make another template, and the route turned out fine. Next step is to square off the corners so the switch fits, and for that I use a chisel. The switch fits exactly, and the next step is to do the recess, since the screws protrude quite a bit, and the recess is routed about 3 millimeters. The switch fits right in, and the pickguard lines up. Next I mark where to drill for the screw holes, drill those out and attach the switch with the screws. Here the switch was a bit hard to move back and forth. I refined the opening until it was free of any intrusions. Next we move on to the wire channels, and I drill those out using an extended bit, which is a 1/4 inch. This one was particularly difficult since the angle was kind of awkward and I didn't want to damage the body. I didn't want to have this extra hole, so I filled it in with a 1/4 inch dowel. I let the glue dry and then I trimmed it flush from both ends. For the strap buttons, I measure the thickness and then divide that by 2 and then make a mark in the middle. I use my handy dart to make an initial pilot hole. The strap buttons are Fender. I couldn't find any Gotos at the time. These will do for now. I might switch them later. A little bit of wax on the screws so they go in easier. For the second button, I measure an inch away from the center line. Considering the shape, if it was on the center line, it would just hang a little too low. Now for the backplate, I mark out an area and cut out a piece out of MDF, which I have already squared off. And this will be the template to route out the backplate from a piece of pickguard material. But before doing that, I made another template for this template to round off the corners and mark where the screws are going to be. This is the last template of the build, and now we have all graduated from Template Making Academy. I transfer the screw positions and then drill those out and then countersink them. Then I drill the holes for the body. And here we have the backplate nearly completed. I did want to add an opening for changing the strings, and for that I used the backplate that I had laying around. I transferred the opening onto the template and then onto the backplate. The opening lines up exactly, and now I don't have to take off the backplate to change the strings. Both of these pieces are now complete in terms of their shape. In the next step, I'm going to be applying some vinyl to them. This is an image that I made and had printed out. The smaller piece is what I had printed initially, but I wasn't happy with the quality of it, and I had it reprinted at a different place. I trace it around at a spot that I like and then cut it out. next step, I wipe the surface with alcohol, and that's to remove any oils from my fingers and any dirt. I tape it down from the back, and I will be applying it with this plastic scraper. While it's stuck in position, I reveal a portion of it and cut off the backing, and I apply it starting with that area. Once it's stuck in that place, the rest of it is already lined up. I apply it with the scraper and make sure there aren't any bubbles, and also I make sure I get a nice crease on the edges. Once it's all applied, I trim the excess with an X-Acto knife. Backplate is next, and I repeat the same process. And here we have it. Pickguard and backplate are now fully complete. Here is a quick shot of it onto the body. The next video will probably be the last one or the second last one. We'll see how long everything takes. And that will include final sanding, painting, and clear. Thank you for watching, and please leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Till the next one.